and welcome. My name is Karen Greer, and I'm CEO of Secure Content Technologies. I'm really happy to be here with Keith Mills today from Securely. Keith is Director of Pass Sales with Securely, and our companies have worked together for quite a number of years. It's just an honor to have you today, Keith.
Hey, it's great. It's always great to visit with you, Karen. So we appreciate the partnership we've had over the years.
Well, thank you. So one of the things that is always top of mind for me when I'm dealing with schools is student safety. And I think that Securely Pass has a very, very unique and very powerful way of helping with student safety. And I remember back in the day, the old hall passes, and I think there's quite a bit of schools that are still using those. Right. So one of the questions that I wanted to ask you was, what are some of the fundamental problems with the traditional hall pass and the benefits of what a digital hall pass can bring to K-12? I know that it improves trackability of kids in the school, where they are, at what time, and that sort of thing. But I'd love to hear your take on that because you're so well versed in it.
Yeah, I can definitely do that. You know, Karen, first off, I was in education for 31 years. I was a teacher coach for 20 years, 11 years. I was a high school principal. I've been there. I was in the trenches, and and we did the traditional passes, and my last 3 years we actually used Securely Pass, and it was a game changer for my campus. And when I retired, it was an easy transition for me to come over because I could sell a product I truly believed in. But what we found out, and everyone who's been in education can tell you, the problem with the traditional passes is, first off, they're time consuming. Teachers oftentimes would have to, schools would have like a little paper pass, and the teacher had to write the student's name, and they had to sign it, and where they were going, what time they left. And so there was, that was one thing. It was going to distract from instruction for the teacher. And unfortunately, sometimes kids would abuse that paper system. Sometimes those passes would disappear, copies being made, believe it or not. Other problems. How could you track who was out and stuff? You would oftentimes, teachers from some schools would have required to put like a sheet of paper on the wall and, try to track it that way and turn it in at the end of the day. It was almost impossible. Some kids would sign out, some wouldn't. And so just putting all that together was a nightmare for administrators. Inconsistent enforcement by teachers. You probably remember in your days, probably when you had to go, out in the hall and the teacher gave you a pass. I'll never forget. I remember seeing a kid walk down the hallway with a deflated football that one of the coaches gave him, and it said hall pass on it. So that was it. So that's not an efficient way of doing things. And like I said, it leads to kids being out too much, a lot of different problems. So the great thing about a digital hall pass program, number one, it's going to add consistency for everybody in the campus. This teacher isn't given a deflated football, and this one over here is writing up a sheet of paper. It's going to provide consistency for all the teachers and the students as well. Okay, so that's one great thing. Another feature that I love about Securely Pass is that teachers and administrators know who is out in the hallway at any one time, and if they're supposed to be out there, and if they're in the right location. With paper passes, you had no idea who was out in the hallway at any one time. There was no way to see that. We have real-time dashboards so that all the adults can see that, and that is a huge safety feature. That who's out there, and especially if you got students that aren't supposed to be together. And I'm kind of getting ahead of myself here, but you're able to keep students away from each other who don't need to be together, whether it's students who may get in a fight, those type of things. So a lot of schools will have a stay away agreement where students aren't supposed to be around each other. So I mean, that's just one of the examples of what digital hall passes can do. It's the ability to keep those students safe and also hold them accountable. Hey, you've been out. We can see how long you've been out. You need to get back to class, because if a kid's not in class, they're not learning. And so that's another important thing that we can provide through a digital hall pass.
So can the teacher see, let's say two students are known maybe to be being bullied or vaping or whatnot, and they don't want those two kids out at the same time or in the same location. They're in the same bathroom or something like that. Can pass make that visible and maybe have the teacher not give that pass to one of those students if the other one's already out? Does that make sense?
Yes, yes, it does. Well, actually, PASS does even better than that. It's the teacher doesn't have to worry about knowing, well, Johnny can't go out right now because Fred's out.
Okay.
The system, our system, will automatically stop that pass. So even before the teacher even sees it, administrators are able to go in, set it up so that certain students who aren't allowed together can't be out at the same time. The system automatically blocks them. So for the teacher, it's a great time saver. They don't have to know that those students are out because the system is going to do it. And like I said, it works great. You mentioned vaping. A lot of students love to meet up to vape. Our system is going to allow you to put those kids who meet up and do that. One of the great things also is that you can pull a report as an administrator. Maybe you see the same kid out in the hallway all the time. Yeah, interesting. Well, and we can pull up a report to see, who's else is out in the hallway at the same time every day, and oftentimes you may find out there's an issue you weren't even aware of, but with our system, you are able to narrow that down pretty quick.
That's absolutely fantastic. So I know where I am here in Ohio, there's kind of an initiative to not let the kids have their phones in the classroom. So how can you explain just briefly how PASS works? Is there like a console or a tablet or something that's used within the classroom if the kids aren't allowed to have their phones? Or if they are allowed to have their phones, can this be done via their phone?
Right. Yeah, great question, Karen. First off, our system is completely web-based. Okay, so you can use whatever device as long as you have internet access. And you're right, a lot of schools, a lot of states are basically taking cell phones out of the students' hands right now. So, but a lot of schools are one-to-one, so they can use their Chromebook, their laptop, whatever it is, maybe the school is provided there. But we also have the ability to do a kiosk in each individual classroom or whatever location you happen to be in. So we're going to make it so that any school district or even any campus can make it fit their needs. Because I'll find out some schools say, yeah, we're one-to-one across the board. They can use their own devices. Others say, no, we want a kiosk everywhere. And some like a mix. As far as their cell phones, yes, if they want to do that, we have an app that they can download to their phone and they can do it. So the students, basically what they do, they request the pass when it's time. The teacher's up there teaching. The student says, can I go to the restroom? Teacher says, yeah, go ahead and make the pass. The student makes the pass. It still has to go through an approval process by the teachers. And there's multiple ways we do that within the system. But like I said, the system's really flexible. That's one of the things I loved about it, because even within a district, you'll find out that every school oftentimes handles passes a little bit differently, maybe than another school. But with Securely Pass, we can cover all those possibilities.
I know that the teachers and administrators that I talk to have said that this actually makes their lives easier. That candidly, when I first started selling it, some of the objections that I would get would be, well, we don't want something else we have to learn, right? Because they're already overworked. But I've come back, and as you continue to grow and talk with them, they're like, actually, this makes our lives a lot easier. And we're able to report and see so many other things that we didn't even know were going on.
Right. Oh yeah, that is so true. What I always tell administrators, because you're right, one of the first things they say, we don't want to give our teachers more.
Right.
Okay? And so what we're able to show them using our system is that it actually is going to save your teachers time. All right. We've also found out that a lot of times the number of requests by students to leave class drops almost across the board. So there, fewer students leaving class. All right, so that's one right there. That's going to save that teacher some time. The other things, like I said, the teacher's not having to worry about filling out papers or signing who went out, all that stuff, because now it's a click of a button. Literally takes 2 seconds sometimes to approve a pass. And so because of that, it's going to save the teachers time, but administrators, it even makes their life easier because they're able to, once again, now they know who's out in the hallways, and they can also keep students away from each other, limit how many students are in certain locations. We have had schools report, Karen, up to a 50 to even up to a 70% drop in referrals.
Really?
Because most of the issues that happen, you talk to most administrators, it's going to be in the hallways, it's going to be in the restrooms, it's going to, you know, when kids aren't being monitored, when they're out doing stuff maybe they're not supposed to. And so what happens then is administrators are having to deal with referrals a lot less often. You know, that takes huge amount of time on every day. If you've ever had to deal with a fight in a hallway or something, and I mean, there's half your day, if not the whole day, as an administrator, and that's time is precious for educators.
So the other question I'm starting to get asked that is a relatively new one is, how are like the student privacy standards maintained? Does Securely Pass have a way of helping to accomplish that?
Yeah, right. Well, first off, let me just say the Securely Pass is not a tracking device or surveillance device. It doesn't do that. It's just replacing the paper with a digital version of it. Okay. So that's the first thing I want to say, because some people say, oh, you're tracking my kid like a GPS. No, we're not doing that. Okay. We are, first off, SOC 2 compliant. So we have our SOC 2 certification. We are COPPA compliant, which is the Children's Online Privacy and Protection Rule. And we also are CSPA, that's the California Student Privacy Agreement. We also are compliant with that, and it is the most, California has the strictest privacy of any of the other states. So we meet that privacy agreement. And of course, other state levels, they have different privacy issues, but we're going to follow every privacy law across the entire 50 states of the United States. So
that's very important. Well, this has been really informative to me, and I hope it has to all of the people watching. Thank you so much for agreeing to do this with me, and hopefully we'll be having more of these this year.
Yeah, I'd love to talk to you some more, Karen. And hey, once again, SCT, y'all do an outstanding job providing the services for all the districts that y'all work with, and we're just happy to be able to partner with y'all and look forward to doing more in the future.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too.